have your parents apologize for anything.
That's a funny question. That's a funny question to even ask me, Cody. I don't even know why you directing that. You already knowing there was no. Listen, man.
Hey, y'all, this is After Love. Hey. After Love, the official Black Love After show. We have all just watched, most of us have just watched.
I wouldn't even say nothing.
Called out already.
Whoever wants to say they did or didn't watch, we watched Healed People Heal People.
Nice.
And that is the fifth, that is one episode in the final season of Black Love. And it was about parenting. And now we have brought some of you together to tell me what you think and to talk about this crazy parenting journey that like stretches us and makes us be crazy, but like compromise and teaches us love and all that stuff.
I have to start off as being a Black woman in the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. You guys, the way your intentionality in parenting and loving your son, your eldest son, I cried watching your segments.
Yeah.
I am so honored to be on the same episode as you.
So
yeah. I am so glad that you have this platform to allow this cishet Black couple to show how you're supposed to love your Black queer kids, because I didn't have that experience from my father, you know? So it's just, yes, chills.
Black cishet Christian, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of things a lot of things that kind of can separate you from encouraging you to love your child. And I think that a lot of people have a lot of reasons, a lot of excuses that they can put on a lot of different spaces to say that it is justified that I can't show you love, and you guys did not let any of those excuses show up for you. It was a powerful, very, very powerful episode. We are honored.
So
I'm
gonna
beyond. I'm not gonna say you shouldn't watch it. I'm just saying, when you watch it, you call it.
So here's what we'll do. We'll let the audience in on the fact that, you know, Erica and Lamaya was out here kicking it, didn't see the episode tonight. That's okay. We're gonna send it to you because they're committed to Blackness, Black love, Black excellence, parenting.
Absolutely.
And as a result, I'm gonna offer a little background, right, with Ali and Dahn.
Yeah.
Because I was introduced to them through a friend, and all I was told was like, specifically Ali, I know this is true of Dahn, but it was like, you know, he just about Black love, just very Black, very love.
I love
and
that.
I know you probably don't even know that. This was like, because we met years ago. Electronically. It was during the pandemic or right before the pandemic. And so I was very excited, right, to like do this interview, but you know, just like they're in New Zealand now. Yeah. It didn't happen in whatever year that was. And it wasn't until late 2021, I guess, we did this. Yeah. And by then I was aware of their son, Zion, and because you've shared things. And so I was very excited about all the Blackness and all the love.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, so just kind of jumping to your point, like I'm really passionate as a parent about like raising my children, my boys, because I have 3 boys, no girls, to be like themselves.
Right. Yes.
To be free Black children, because like that's something that we aren't able to be. And what little bit I knew about your story, I knew that you were committed to raising free, loving, loved on Black children.
Okay, so I just had a quick question. I know it's kind of like easy to conceptualize when you open yourself to love and you just know that love is love, and sounds normal and sensible, right?
Easy, right? But sounds sensible.
Yeah. Exactly. But I want to know, did you guys have that example growing up, like in your household with your parents, or, you know, what gave you the know-how, the inspiration, the, you know, all of that to love in such fullness, you know what I mean? And so.
Give it to us.
Yeah, give it to us.
Oh my gosh. So I was really excited, the episode Healed People Heal People. So we both, I can let Ali speak for himself, but I had a very tumultuous childhood. It felt very traumatizing. And so, you know, it's one of those things where sometimes when you've had a traumatizing childhood, you just carry on the trauma. And then sometimes you really dig in because you're like, what ain't gonna happen on my watch, right? Is this, right? So I had the understanding that I had come through something really big, getting to a healed place as an adult. Meeting Ali, you know, we were of course so young, but also we were growing together, but we both had that unified understanding that what we were gonna do was a generational like leap. It was going to be
that part
different. It was gonna be bigger. We were gonna go in like you know, eat it up.
You'll end cycles that you don't know how far back those cycles go.
Right.
And especially with people of color in America, you know what I mean? These abbreviated childhoods, these, you know, terrorized adulthoods. It goes back so far, you know, like just, I don't know how that works in the spirit, you know, trauma, how it carries over. But you feel like when we got intentional, so my mom loved me well. So to answer that first question, my mom, like, she just like, you know, not a perfect human, but no one can love you fiercer than that, right?
Yeah.
You know, that mama love, mama lion, mama bear, my mama. I spoke to her yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, and she's my role model, a phenomenal black woman. You know what I mean? That's my role model. It starts for all my life just starts right there. I'm gonna keep it 100, you know? And so that
and I asked you that because that's how I grew up. Very loved, very, you know, no matter what type of vibes. And I feel like it can work either way, through trauma and healing, or through example and restoration, you know? So that's why I was wondering, because I'm like, well, hey,
and
live your life. I love you. Like, what we doing? Let's. And I think
the reality
it comes
is
from both sides.
That to I can't remember if Dahn said it or Ali said it, right? Like, we grow up with an example, and then we figure out what to do with that example, good or bad, right? Like. Eric, you talked about your parents being married, right? You're looking at them like, this is the blueprint. You know, and then that changes.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you said, not on my watch. You know what I mean? Like, it made me go harder. It made us go harder. Like you said just now, we standing in all gaps for all generations, whether it's our families or other.
Yeah, because he really, like, what they showed versus what the doors opened up to when everything was pulled back. Yeah, and he really struggled with that, you know, especially like when we first got married, because, you know, he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to, you know, these are things like we got to. Conversation, I used to say that to him. We have to fight.
There's no way out.
Communicate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't like that part. But
exactly.
But now I've learned to like just understand that
he would.
facing the confrontation
Yes.
only gets you to a stronger place.
you have to go through that.
Foundationally.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you remember, like, the first time y'all had a fight that you got through and you were like, oh.
I remember. Which one?
I don't know.
Well, I just remember being in the car because he did not want to let it loose on me. Like, he very, you know, he wanted to just love me the way that he knows he's supposed to love me, and he don't want to, you know, disrespect me, which he never did. But for him, having an opposing opinion was like deep. It was like, we just supposed to ride together.
That is the disrespect.
Yeah, but
I don't need to.
I said, baby.
I got this.
I said, we have to do this because we will get closer. I promise you.
Wow. Yeah.
I promise you. I'm not going nowhere. I know you're like, well, I don't know if I'm not going nowhere.
I don't know what you're about to say. Yeah. I can't promise you nothing. I don't know where this gonna go. Yeah.
Right. Did God tell you to say that?
He's great at it now, okay? Baby, know how to express those feelings, okay? I'm simply saying, I just don't agree with it. I'm like, well, baby, now we're taking it.
Well,
We gotta come to it. We gotta come
call him 4 here.
On this day.
Now we ready.
That is funny.
I'm curious for you guys. I mean, obviously, MyLin and Lindsay, we shared your journey through. There was a lot of like change and growth that maybe you wouldn't even have had to experience if you didn't have a child when you met, right? Because it would just be the two of you just loving on each other.
And didn't have to consider.
So give us too a little bit of that, single parent representation of meeting someone. You have to tell your family and your child that you love someone, and what a little bit more about what that was.
I didn't officially come out to like everybody until I had met Lindsay. And so finally, I mean, like, close friends and stuff like that, but like to my parents, to my family and stuff like that. So I had had girlfriends and stuff like that, but then it was like, but I had a kid, right, too. And so.
Was it a secret? Like it before Lindsay? Was it like you had to just kind of operate
privately?
Yeah.
From my parents, yes.
Yeah.
I hid it. Strong Christian, raised in the church.
Yeah.
Not accepting and ready to like learn and already know. Like even though they knew, they weren't open to talking to me about it. They were waiting for it to pass, right? Or waiting for me to come. And so finally when I met her, I was just like, okay, we're gonna do this. And I went back and forth because of the pressure.
There was a very serious conversation one night where it was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I can remember
raising my child with a woman.
Yes, specifically. Am I going to be able to raise my son with this woman?
Because of all.
Just because of
how
what
far
you shared.
along were you guys in your relationship?
I'm gonna say maybe a little less than a year, about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
A year into dating.
And so
Into dating.
Okay.
Yes.
you met in the context of the pressure, like she said. What else was
I mean,
making
we met in Bible study. Right? Try not to take this
again.
story too far back, right? But
we met in Bible
basis.
Okay.
We met with that basis,
Yeah.
right? So we already had this understanding of like, and we were in our young 20s where we were trying to figure out the balance between loving God and loving ourselves, right? Like being true to yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like kind of living through that. And at the time we were struggling. And I think that
Like struggling, like breaking up every Sunday.
Yeah. Like it was a rough. I didn't
get it.
At the interview, I had told her, "Don't make sure you don't say that on camera."
Hey, come on.
To the late night, and then told the people we used to break up.
Do the communication, okay?
Lord, I
It's gotta communicate.
I know. Okay.
See, all right.
But it was very tumultuous because we were in a space where everybody around us was saying, y'all got to get out of that, whatever you guys are doing. Simultaneously, you think you maybe met the person.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that feels appropriate. That feels like, everything inside me is like, but that feels so organic. And this feels like the right thing. Simultaneously, you're going to church every Sunday and they're like, shake that habit, you know?
Right.
So it can be hard. And I know that we're not an anomaly. I know lots of Black, Christian, LGBT,
Because we didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
What was the moment? I mean, I know some of your moments, but like, what was the moment or turning point within that context? When were you like,
I think it was that when we got to that conversation. She kind of was like, I'm struggling now. Like by then we were like, all right, we're gonna be together.
Yeah.
We gonna be together. We done moved in now. We're hanging out.
Yeah.
It's a year in now.
Yeah.
And now because it is getting so serious.
Yeah.
I think maybe even internally, subconsciously, we were like, this is gonna fall off. We are serious, but eventually there might be a shift might happen. And instead it just kept getting more serious and more serious and more serious.
Had you met her son at that time?
Oh yeah. Since Bible study, right? Like always around,
He
always
was there.
together.
Okay, so she knew him. We were friends first too. But I really finally made that decision to choose myself. Like to stop letting the pressures and the judgment and the expectations of my parents, my grandmother, my family, my church, my everything to dictate, one, my relationship with God, and two, who I am as a person, and three, try to tell me who I can and cannot love. Like,
and let me tell you, she wasn't getting that pressure from me. Okay, she had that conversation like, I don't know, and I was like, cool.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm not the person to
she's
force
not gonna
you
force
to do
no.
anything, especially with something as significant as a child.
Right.
I
And so how did you have that conversation then, or how did you, what was the turning point? Okay, so we gonna do this.
Yeah.
We here.
Yeah.
I'm not letting anybody dictate who I love, how I love, when I love.
It was finally
Okay, so now we have,
reaching that, and it was, once I made that decision, it was like, okay, let's tell my son's father and my son that this is it. Yeah. And
You told Cameron first? Oh no, you told.
I told his dad first.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to have this
was a
conversation
child.
with our
You know, at the
child.
time he was 5.
He's 4 or 5, but
Like, I'm not about to just tell you, let him run back home. We gotta have to set the tone.
But the journey has to go on raising your child. It's like, you can't let that hold up. It's like,
We
we
got things to do
gotta,
still. Exactly.
it's time to start sacrificing for my child.
Yeah.
So
So it was a lot, but I just knew, like, I'm his mother, and y'all are not gonna take my son away. Y'all are not about to do all of that. So it's just like, we're a family, and I want him to know. And I know, like I stated, my baby's a mommy's boy, so I knew that it was gonna be okay. It was just breaking it down for him because we also had him in a Christian school. So it's like he's going to school being told, like, this isn't right, this is wrong and stuff. That horrible phrase of love the sinner, hate the sin. Is that, so I'm just like, I wanted to
hate the sin, love the sinner. Yeah.
That's it backwards.
Like that.
Oh, hate the sin, love the sinner.
Correct.
Okay,
Maybe that is the term that kind of happens.
yeah.
But what you're saying basically is, I don't accept anything about you.
Yeah.
But God told me to love you.
Yeah.
It's gonna come with a lot of
But it's
judgment.
like, Right.
I'm gonna show it on my face
but he
every
said
time
love
I'm
you,
around
so I
you. But
love
I gonna
you.
love
Exactly.
you. Yeah, exactly right. And we got a lot of that. Got a lot of that.
me
love.
loving who I love is not a sin. Coming to that point of it. Me finally recognizing that, me finally getting to a place of my relationship with God, getting on this different spiritual level and knowing that I do not want to live without her, kind of just finally changed things for me. Like, okay, mommy, daddy, this is it. Grandmother, this is it. This is it.
Doesn't love does that, you know, I find love crosses religious divides, it crosses racial divides, you know, political lines. I mean, through history, the person you love, it helps to change the course, I think, of human history, because you have to go outside your group mindset, whatever the group thinks. You know, they're Muslim, you know, I'm Jewish, you know, I'm Buddhist, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be even connected with somebody like that, but sometimes love will make you go, listen, no. It supersedes that particular doctrine, you know what I mean, that you're being taught.
Well, that's what it's supposed to do.
Exactly right. The rules aren't bigger than love. Like, if we're understanding it in the way that it's being taught.
The rules
And
are not.
I would say too, it goes back to something that you said, Ali, and I honestly don't remember if I put it in this episode or a different one, about self-love. Right? Ultimately, you're deciding to like choose yourself and honor your love, which is the thing that makes us like reject those who aren't interested in us having that self-love.
That part.
No, that's really
Which is hard. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't make it easy.
No.
It just is required.
And I think that's the big scary thing, right? That is really what is happening that's keeping you from being your true self. It's just that fear. And we got it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
We pulled that trigger and it was like, you going to hell and you're not welcome here.
Yeah.
And I mean.
Well, then I'm not coming to your house. Your house is
She know me. She know me. I'm quick to be like, oh, cool.
She was like, I'm not going there anymore.
I don't know you that well, but
we're doing all of this in the name of raising healthy, functional, breaking the cycle, children into adults, and that's the sacrifice. Like, it's crazy though, the journey that parenthood takes you through, and the things it makes you face. It's like, well,
the questions it makes you ask yourself, like. I saw a video recently on Instagram where this woman was asking this guy, and I think he's an expert in something, but I don't know who he was. And she was like, hey, how do I, keep my daughter from like succumbing to the pressure of the internet, right? Of shaking off her clothes or caring about what people think. And he said,
Snapchatting it all.
What'd you say?
I said, Snapchatting it all away.
Exactly. How do I keep my daughter off OnlyFans? And his response was, build up her confidence. And he specified, like, it doesn't matter, boy, girl, whatever. Like, if you want to keep your kids out of trouble, build up their confidence so that there's nothing that can influence them. And ultimately, go ahead. Also, 20 years married here. We looking at y'all. Okay. What you got? What you got for us?
That thing you said about self-confidence, and I'm just quickly, that's what I thank my mother for. You know what I mean? That thing, you beautiful black mom, what I thank my beautiful black mom for is what she put into me, this little flame, this faith of self-esteem. You pass to your children, to believe in yourself. And sometimes if that thing really catches flame, you sometimes burn through cultural ideas, what they say, and cultural ideas about where people like you belong, who you can love. When they teach you to love yourself, and that really sits into your soul, you push out or whatever the hell they telling you to do. God don't like that. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to hold on that. I'm gonna need you to hold off on that because your God has me at the back of the bus. So I'm not sure where you coming from exactly. You changed the world, I believe. Definitely your family when you begin to love yourself. It shifts everything.
And it's so true.
See why we had to Zoom from New Zealand?
We needed that word.
But it's so true. Like, even with our sons, like, every day I reassure him. I have him, I want him to be emotionally intelligent, want them to be emotionally intelligent. You know, most people, it's like funny because, you know, some of the family members be like, well, they couldn't be talking to me like that. I said, but I'm not going to shut them down. We can have a conversation about it and he going to know too. I don't play. I don't play and I'm to be respected, but at the same time, I'm going to respect you and figure out, we have to have a conversation. We have to communicate. I want my boys to be emotionally intelligent. You know what I'm saying? I remember in when Eli was coming out of preschool, and this is just all goes into heal people, you know, give me the title again.
Healed people, heal people.
Absolutely. And this has been the journey for us and with the boys, but I remember I used to tell him, you know, when he'd get upset, 'cause he's extremely sensitive. Our oldest one, Eli, is like super sensitive, and I used to be like, why are you crying? Like, stop crying. Stop crying. Like, you don't have to cry. But I remember talking to the school director one day, and she just said, you know, make sure you don't shut him down.
There you go.
And exactly, but like back in the day, we weren't receptive of these alternate ways of thinking and challenging how.
Absolutely right.
Challenging how culture has been. And so it was interesting.
Masculinity.
I literally apologized in the street crying to my 4-year-old, like, mommy will never shut you down again. If you want to cry, you cry. We're going to talk it out. We're going to get to it, and I'm going to teach you how to get in touch with your feelings and know that feelings are fleeting, you know, and when it, you know, is appropriate for you. But that's your decision. But I literally cried, like, but it challenged me to ask myself those questions, like, do I want to just raise our sons, you know, the way that we've just been traditionally taught? Are we going to challenge some things? Are we going to be progressive? Are we gonna grow? Are we gonna learn? And so people, you know, there's a nice balance.
There is, but apologizing to our babies, that is so powerful.
I can count. I can count on my hand how many times a parent has apologized to me, and I'm talking about
at 0.
I don't know.
Listen, I love my parents, but I'm gonna go with
that ain't never happened.
I was over 30 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? After I'd have been like, if you gonna act like that, you won't be around my son. Like requiring them. Do you know what I mean? And I think one of the things that you said that really stuck out to me is challenge. Like, I'm now challenged. I think what me and MyLin's love has done has challenged not just us to figure out what we're gonna do and be our true selves, but challenge the people around us. You know what I'm saying? When we first came down here, it was like, oh, you can't stay with us. Now they're kissing me out every time they see me. You know what I'm saying? At one point it was like, your son's blah, blah. And now it's like, your son's brilliant. They're so loved. You can see it on them. And I wanna be like, told you so.
Exactly. And rightfully so. But you're stepping into that challenging.
But I gotta be, you know, but I appreciate that we've even come full circle and we've challenged everyone.
Dahn said something in the episode about, like, asking herself, like, are we really full of unconditional love? Yeah. Or is that just something we've been saying?
Yeah.
You know, and I think like that's the question you have to ask yourself, or variations of that question when parenting, especially. Of course, we should be asking it all the time, but parenting like forces us to look at ourselves like, oh, should I have done that? Should I put them in this box? Should I have responded that way?
Because it'd be so many things.
Every day.
So many things.
Every
I'm
day.
like, oh.
Every day. I could question a decision every day if I wanted to. You know, parenting really opens the lens on you. Like,
Dahn, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, it's so incredible when you decide to grow because you want to live up to the standard you have for yourself. Like if you have some high standard of like, I am supposed to be a person who is accepting, who is loving, who's kind, who's giving, who's joyful, all those things. And then life will go, oh, let's see if you really are this thing that you would like to, and you watch yourself honestly grow into those spaces because I'm very, you know, how I grew up with how does it look? How does it look? How does it look? You know, more than like so much to the conversation about, you know, as long as it looks good, you know, even beyond if it's good behind the closed doors, you know, it's like, what is it presenting as? And so getting in touch with your pictures of things and really truly living your real ideas of like, no, I agree. I said that is something that I'm going to do as a parent, love no matter what. So I am getting ready to watch myself grow like nobody's business because I refuse to not live up to that. So it's like you set yourself on this forward trajectory of growth that's like just affects everybody because then everybody around you is like, well, if you're gonna be growing and this amazing person, then I look like a nutcase trying to be like, you shouldn't accept your child. You're like, really? That's what you think? That I shouldn't be like in love with my child, and I shouldn't still be that proud of them, and that they're still the yummiest thing when I see them. Like I shouldn't light up when I see them. Like I'm not shame. I'm not like no. So then they're like, oh. Okay, well, I guess we need to get in line because we did a whole Christmas card on it, you know. So we're all coming out. Okay. We so that nobody had in their head that this was anything we were trying to shuttle.
And there's still, to your point, I'm sorry. There's still inquisitiveness.
Oh yeah.
You know, I still got relatives. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you know what I mean? I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. You know, so they'll still ask you. So how's that going?
I know, like I know that was then, but like, what's going on now? Are you guys okay?
How's it coming along? You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I'll keep you up to date as I see. You know, I'll take a look. I'll let you know how it's going. But because they know who we are, my family just comes at me from love and true compassion, you know what I'm saying? But they're dealing with something or seeing something through my family that they're unfamiliar with, and honestly that I was unfamiliar with. I ain't no expert. You know, that's why in the special, I tried to be a bit transparent, you know, by saying, you know.
You were so wonderful with it.
Here's how I kind of put my head around it. To understand, you know, and so they're looking from the outside, you know, just, you know, inquiring and maybe learning something, I hope, you know.
No, I really appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate you guys, period, just for like your transparency, your just sharing your story and your experience and your personal backgrounds and how it plays into the way that you parent, and then specifically the way that you parent Zion. And as you were saying, your explanation of your learning, right? Like I sort of grappled with, because you know it's a whole act. Like it's like 5 minutes at least, right? And it was longer than that. I trimmed it down, but it was wonderful, and it was for me very necessary because it was a very detailed and thorough perspective on that showcased not just your effort to understand your child, right? But also an explanation that anyone can sort of look at and be like, or be like whatever they're gonna be. But I just appreciated you giving me a little something to help people wrap their
and
minds
Cody,
around
I was
the way
scared.
you did. What you say?
And I was scared. You know, I talked about with Dahn. You know,
I could imagine that.
because I'm private, you know what I mean? Like I told you on the day of, you know what I mean? Dahn she shares, she's amazing, shares the journey with people. I'm like, I'm not sharing my journey. I don't really know you. Why am I? You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not even doing all that. You know what I'm saying? If you know me, you know what's going on, right? So after we were done and you started sending us the emails that's coming up, I started getting nervous, you know what I mean? You know, I'm like, what the hell did I say? What the hell did I tell this lady and her husband? They came over our house. What the hell I say to these people, man? Like, until I watched it, I couldn't remember, what came out. But once we did, I mean, I know that, Dahn, she approved it, and it has the sincerity necessary,
It's just so beautiful. This is why, Cody, what you're doing is so just everything is that people need to know the journey is this seamless. It's not seamless. It's not this beautiful through line. It's the struggle. It's the arcs. It's the hard times. It's the and it gives you the I'm not alone. It gives you the I can. If they can do this, I can. Right. It gives an opening to a conversation that people never thought that they needed to have with their people, with their with their special person. I loved watching both of these couple. I was like, oh, they're so yummy. I was like, they're just so beautiful. Like the stories. I'm in love with your blessed shirt.
Oh, that shirt. I need that shirt, King. I need that.
For the win. Yeah.
We loved it. It was just, it's nourishing, it's nourishing to just this idea of like, how do we, and I love that we're doing this parenting section because it's like, not just our love, but how do we spread that? How do we grow up this next generation so that they are standing so strong and tall and so full of their own greatness, And that was really beyond just me wanting to be this better person. What I was extra determined is that my children will know that I love you. All said this. Both the couple said this, that your children will know that they were loved, that they were poured into with this love of themselves, and then they are able to then stand on their own 2 feet and pour their gift of what they're here to do out into the world and not have this fractured, sense of themselves.
They already can't tell them nothing. Okay, already. They already. Boy, let me tell you, these two, like just the small things, like you're a leader, not a follower. I used to always say that to Eli, before school. He's like, tell the teacher, I'm a leader, not a follower. Hold on now. No, they're so confident. The teacher, though. Okay. Just tell the teacher, I'm a leader, not a follower. I'm not following what you're going with.
Miss Lopez.
But it's just so important to have these images that are all over the place, because it's not one way to do this thing. And it doesn't look one way, and we've been told so long, this is how it looks, this is how you do it. And we gotta change that narrative, and that's why, again, to reiterate what they said about this platform and what you're doing, it's so important because we have to see ourselves. We have to have images and
you can't imagine what you can't see.
You can't imagine what you can't see. We have to open our minds. Right. And to see it is to believe it and to understand it. And there's not one way to do it. There's not one way to black love it.
Yes.
There's not one way to black parent it.
There's not. And there's a lot of learning and unlearning. And it's
heavy on the un.
Heavy on the un. That's crazy. It's so true.
You just come into it thinking that that's the way it goes.
And I'm like,
and it's funny that we all have like the similar experiences. Whenever we talk about something, I'm always like, same. We all just have the same upbringing. That can't be real.
No, that's not real.
It is, but it shouldn't be. Like,
because our parents had the same upbringing.
Yeah, exactly right. We've got to raise our kids for this.
Wait, to that point, it makes me want to ask one question to everyone. And I hate to go back here because it's like a little dark, but the reality is real, right? you mentioned never hearing your parents say like I apologize for something, even as a grown up, and I relate to that. And I have no complaints about my parents. I have wonderful parents, but I'm gonna go with 0. So I'm curious if everyone what is your answer to has your parent or parents ever apologized to you for something?
I mean.
No disrespect to the parents.
Yeah. We know y'all watching.
It's just, I'm pointing out.
They watch.
When I was younger, it wasn't too much. I think they probably thought, like, you know what I'm saying, this is it.
Yeah.
And this is it. But I think when I got older, my dad was like, yo, when I left, I went about it wrong. You know what I mean?
powerful.
Like, she was like, I saw my dad leave, and I did the same thing. You know, and it made me, you know, I was thankful for it because, you know, your parents they're not required or obligated to give you any explanation on their life, you know? So I never held him accountable, but when he did apologize and let me know how he felt, it definitely made me feel so much more open to the situation and so much more, you know,
It was healing.
yeah, it was definitely healing, but I think he had to be healed himself in order to offer that type of love and, you know, protection over my feelings.
Yes. Well, my mom, yes, even back then, she would even apologize after she whipped me, like, you know I whipped you, right? You know why I spanked you. But you know what's funny? I appreciate her explaining to me what the hell's going on.
Half the time you don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, before I used to be mad back in the day. Of course, I'm like, you're crazy. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I am a very emotionally intelligent adult.
Yeah.
Because I understand, you know, her trying to keep me from doing harmful things, you know, like putting myself in the dryer. I mean, I'm sorry, like I need to make you think about it before you do that again.
I'm gonna heat up before I get hot.
You know, so, but she would explain these things, you know.
Yeah.
But,
Tumble dry.
you know, she'd get my attention, you know. It's like, hey, I need you to know this is life-threatening. Think about it before you do it. Now you got a little association going on. Yeah. But I respect it, you know, it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
But yes, my mom she's a single Black mother doing it on her own. And I give her props and I give her the credit.
And you alive. You're not in the dryer. You alive.
I'm
She did that.
I'm in a red little boot, you know, with my boots.
Still hot.
I'm good. Either way. But no, I give her the credit, man. She started this. She opened that box up for myself and my siblings. Yeah, absolutely. She would tell you right now, baby, I'm sorry. She's
That's sweet.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. My parents, I was able to relate to you because like I was one of my only friends that had parents still married. Like literally I had one other friend that did it. You know, everybody else was divorced or separated. So anyways, and then while I was away in college, my dad left my mom after 19, 20 years or something like that. And so I apologize for scoffing while you were in the middle of sharing that, but it was just like a relatable thing of like, my dad would never. No way.
But has a mindset of that's just not the relationship. Right. It's a very old school mindset of parents don't apologize. I'm here to do this for you. Yeah, what you should apologize to me.
Yeah, exactly. I brought you in. You should still be thanking me, brother.
Truly. But it's just that mindset.
And I'm like,
it's just that older.
You know, so I'm definitely on 0 as a child, but and I'm not close to my dad now, as we used to be. But my mom, I have set up boundaries basically with my parents, and my mom is very
She respects them.
Is accepting of them. When I talk to her about things that have happened that, you know, I'm not comfortable with or whatever, she reflects on that. She apologizes, you know, and
Thank
so
you, Mom.
my mom's dope. I'm very grateful that I still, you know, that we're tight. Don't know if I can get that, you know, from the other side, but you know, we'll see.
You never know.
Time.
And you just don't know.
We don't know.
Same. I think my mom in my adult life has looked back at kind of some of the decisions that she's made and been like, I kind of dropped the ball for you, right? And I think that was bigger for her, you know, because I was like, girl, yeah.
Like, I've been on this.
In the moment, she's, I'm seeing it happen for her. I'm seeing her have this realization and like be very like, man, I really thought I was doing it. You know, my mom is like, if you ask her now, she's like, oh, I could raise babies. We're also African, right? So my parents are West African, we're from Liberia, and there's a way that you raise kids there. And when you come to America, they want to make sure they don't loosen no reins. Like you need to not be of the world, you know? Like you're in the world, but you're not of the world. So they're very, you know, set in their ways. They feel very, yes, exactly. And you can't complain, right? My dad was born in a house of, you know, so in his mind, he was like, you don't have nothing to complain about.
Like it's relative.
You know,
I ain't have all that, so I'm just telling you from my point of view.
In this house, it's really hard. My emotions, right? But they like, emotions?
Well, let me tell you something. The emotional intelligence in the Black community, boy.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
That's what I'm saying.
But we are, but it requires somebody to say something. Yeah. And I was watching this video on Instagram, and I can't quote or tell anybody about anything, but it was a girl who had just gone to therapy and went to her mom to be like, this is what I've learned. This is the language I have now. This is what it means when you do this to me. I feel triggered like this. And her mom was like, wow, you know, so shocked, you know, and she was like, I had no clue that means this, you know, like she had a hard time even seeing like, I guess you're right. If I smack you for not responding, you know, like, but that was how I didn't think that was affecting me. And she was like, Mom, you didn't realize you were unhappy? Like when when your grandfather was doing that to you? And the mom was like, no, I just knew that to be the way that adults talk to kids.
Shut it down.
And she was like, thank you for sharing this. And now I'm starting to think about my childhood. And like now this mom is like, did I have a horrible childhood, right? They don't even realize. And so same thing with my mom. My mom went through a lot of trauma, you know, that she still tries not to talk about, that she won't, you know, get therapized about. But now as an adult, I have the emotional intelligence enough to be like,
to give her grace.
I'm speaking to a human being. When I was a child, you were my mom, you know, and I raised you up. I think parents, you raise them up in this way, but then as you get older, you're like, you're a human.
That happened with my dad.
You're a human
What
being.
about you guys, Ali and Dahn?
Adult apologies or young child?
Have your parents apologized for anything?
That's a funny question. That's a funny question to even ask me, Cody. I don't even know why you directing that at us, because you know you already knowing there was no. Listen, man.
It was like, did you get fed the next day?
I just want to be equitable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Put it on the
You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom had to raise a lot of people by herself. And apologizing to you was not a part of the deal. I'm going to keep it 1,100. That never happened. That has never happened.
Got time for that, boy?
Never happened. Are you alive? Can you read? You held a job your whole life. You smart. You healthy.
You're welcome.
Why you don't come over here all that complaining? Jokes aside, to answer directly, no. Not even a little bit. Maybe as an adult, you know what I'm saying? Because we like this. Me and Mom Dukes is like this, you know what I'm saying? So we talk from the heart. You know, my mom got mental. She got ESP on me. She even know if I'm in a bad mood. So we talk to the heart. But as a kid, she already know what did you sleep last night? What's going on, you know? She, you know, from the heart to heart, you know. And I think that allows my whole life to unfold the way it has. But as an adult, we talked about the soft spots. But as a kid, there was no apology.
Yeah, and it's like, I know we're all laughing, but it was. My mom passed away in 2020, and my stepfather, who raised me, passed the year before. I think 2 years before that. And I gave my mom to the very end, like, a chance to, like, come up off of some, you know. I'm like, I'm handing you this opportunity.
Come on now, I'm opening the door here. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write down the first few words for you. All you got to do is read it.
It's so
I apologize.
No.
Y'all, here it is.
The level of, and I'm telling y'all, when you hear
that is rough.
The extra egregiousness that she was.
Man.
I mean, she would just have really done well to just read. I love what you said. Just read off the.
Yeah, baby. Look, I just write the first 3 words for you. All you got to do is read it.
That is
my mama. I think she doubled down because she was very much a self. She was very much about her self-protection. And then I think that also she just could not see, she had a lot of narcissistic behavior. She couldn't see herself having been the cause of something that was this much, you know? So even if she had to change the narrative, like, oh, I always said I believed you for that. I always said that, you know, like this is where she would go. It would never, so I guess it's a hard zero.
I think sometimes people struggle.
So I brought it up though, and we are laughing, right? But I brought it up because like clearly there's a generational shift happening. Right? Absolutely. And I think hopefully we've pointed out with that like how healing apologies can be. Right? And this is said to anyone watching who is a parent, who is our parents.
It's okay to apologize.
Right.
It's okay.
That we're all committed to like raising Black children that are emotionally available, emotionally intelligent, that are free to be whoever they know they are without anybody telling them they are not. And that excites me. And I'm really grateful for all of you. I don't know if I said this part, just like for sharing your journey with me, with Black love, because this whole thing thrives on the vulnerability and authenticity of you all. And obviously, your stories, not your stories are extraordinary, but your sharing has been. And I actually like fell in love with the episode more having talked to y'all. It's very strange. Like even like very recently I was like gonna change the name of it. Like so I'm really glad that y'all like are here. I'm glad that you enjoyed it and that you know, that we're out here raising these amazing children.
Yes, they are. Beautiful Black children. They're gonna be strong.
Yes. All right, y'all. That's Black Love. No, that's After Love.
There we go.
The official Black Love After Show. And we'll see you next week.